Hello and welcome to another Thriller Fiction Thursday with me, the author Michael Campling. Just had a slightly unsettling incident there where the weight of the microphone sort of pulled the boom arm away from where I had it anchored on a little shelf over on the other side. So it's on this side today. I think it better stay there because things clattering onto the desk, not what we want. Very unsettling. However, we are reading Lawful Duty and there's been a little gap, so sorry about that. Hopefully, if I can get some more people coming along and liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, tell your mates about it. If you know somebody who you think might like it, please let them know. Maybe share it on social media. Anything like that is good. You know, tell your Aunt Marjorie in Quebec or wherever it is she lives. And, you know, if she'd like it. So that will encourage me to keep these up and doing them every week. I thought I was on chapter 10, but it looks like we're on chapter 11. I think I must have done 2 chapters before. So that's enough of me jabbering away for the last minute. So, Lawful Duty, a Devonshire crime thriller, read by the author, Michael Campling. Chapter 11. Spiller had been to the quayside once before, but he hadn't set foot in the Riverside Cafe. It was an intriguing little place that seemed to be part of an antique centre. In the cafe, the air was redolent with the aroma of freshly toasted bread and the hint of frying bacon. D.S. Riley placed his order, coffee and a sausage sandwich. Then he patted Spiller on the back and went to find a table. I suppose that means I'm paying, Spiller thought, but that was okay. Riley was gradually accepting. Riley was gradually These are probably the best bits, aren't they? Riley was gradually accepting him. Sounds weird. Riley was gradually accepting him, and that was worth the price of a hot drink and a snack. Spiller ordered a cappuccino and a bacon sandwich for himself. Then he paid up with a smile and went to join Riley at a table by the window. "It's all right in here, isn't it?" Spiller said. "Is it your regular?" Riley shook his head. "I'm keeping that treat in reserve. As a rule, I eat whenever and wherever I can. This place is okay, but we're not here for the ambiance." He nodded to the window. "See what's over the road?" Pillar. This is not boding well, is it? It's that microphone falling over. Spiller peered out at the stone buildings on the other side of the street. They had an industrial look, as though they'd once been warehouses, but they boasted a pair of garish signs, one proclaiming the curious name Mambo, the other the Icebox. "So that's the place," Spiller said. "Will there be anyone there at this time of day?" "We'll soon find out. We'll pop over after our coffee." As if on cue, a waitress delivered their drinks and sandwiches. They thanked her, but before tucking in, Riley looked askance at Spiller's drink. "Cappuccino, it's all froth and no coffee." "I like it," Spiller said. "It would be a dull world if we were all the same. Simpler, though." Riley took a drink of coffee and winced. "On the other hand, you might have made a good choice there, Tim. This stuff has been sitting in the pot for so long it could have come over with Raleigh." "Oh, I can get you another." Spiller made to stand, but Riley waved him back down. "Don't worry about it. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger." Riley devoured his sandwich, washing it down with gulps of coffee, and Spiller had to eat quickly to keep up. "So, what do you think of our nick so far?" Riley asked. "It's all been a bit of a whirl," Spiller replied. "I was expecting to be trawling through paperwork for ages before I went out on a case." "In any other nick you might be right, but the governor has his own way of doing things." "Baptism of fire," Riley grinned. "Kind of, but try to take it as a good thing. You must reckon you can cope with it." "Fair enough." Spiller finished his coffee in silence. Riley watched him for a while, a quizzical expression on his face, but he couldn't keep quiet for long. "Is that it? Fair enough?" Spiller nodded. "If he thinks I can do the job, that's good enough for me." "Well, you did all right when we were interviewing Carter, so I'll tell you what, Tim. We'll head over to the club and see if we can't find someone who was there on Saturday night. This time I'll ask a few questions. Then I'll hand it over to you. See if you can push a bit further without asking any leading questions, all right?" "Sure, thanks, Paddy. I won't let you down." "You'd better not. Let's go." Riley led the way from the cafe, marching to the main entrance of the icebox and hammering on the door with his fist. It wasn't long before a young man answered the door. Dressed in faded jeans and a T-shirt, he eyed them warily. "What do you want? We're closed." "We know," Riley replied, showing his warrant card. "We're police. Got a minute?" The man seemed to renew his grip on the edge of the door. "That depends. I'm not the owner or anything. I work behind the bar. I was just stocking up." "Were you working on Saturday night?" Riley asked. The man nodded. "Then you're just the fellow we need to talk to," Riley went on. "What's your name, son?" "Freddie." "Have you got a surname?" "Hall. Freddie Hall." "Now we're getting somewhere," Riley said. "Let's pop inside for a bit, eh?" "I don't know. Maybe I ought to call my boss. He doesn't—" Riley held up a hand to cut him off. "Never mind about that, son. You're not in any trouble, and we haven't come to see if you're watering down the drinks, although I wouldn't be surprised if you were. We're tracing the movements of a young woman, and we have reason to believe she was here on Saturday night. Oh, we get lots of girls in here, especially on Saturdays." Riley gestured meaningfully toward the doorway. "Inside, Freddie. There's a good lad." Freddie looked distinctly displeased, but he stood back and ushered them through to the bar. The windows were shuttered and the place was gloomy, the overhead lights fighting an unequal battle against the room's darkest corners and alcoves. The black background of the carpet didn't help, despite its lurid pattern of swirling maroon lines. Spiller looked around as he walked into the bar, the carpet clinging to the soles of his shoes with every step. A lot of beer had been spilled in this room, as the smell made very plain. The place might look better at night, Spiller decided. With the neon sign switched on and the seats full of lively young people, the bar might seem passable. In reality, it was tacky to the point of being grim, the tables stained and chipped, and the vinyl-covered bar stools worn and patched up with tape. Moving over to the bar to take advantage of the one decent source of light, Riley asked Spiller to show the photo of Lindsay. Excuse me. Doing very well tonight. Riley asked Spiller to show the photo of Lindsay. Spiller obliged. "Have you seen this young woman recently?" Freddie narrowed his eyes, one hand on his chin, as he examined the photo. Then he shook his head. "No, sorry." Spiller didn't believe him for a second. The man had been putting on a show. Perhaps Riley felt the same because he said, "That is a shame. What do you think, D.C. Spiller?" "I think, D.S. Riley, that Mr. Hall ought to look again." Turning his gaze on the barman, Spiller hardened his tone. "I'll remind you, sir, that wasting police time is an offence." "I'm not wasting anybody's time. I don't know her." "We didn't ask whether you knew her or not," Spiller stated. "We asked if you've seen her recently. It's a simple question, Freddie. Do yourself a favour and answer it properly." Hall looked at Spiller as if seeing him anew, and Spiller was secretly pleased to have made an impression. Okay, Hall said. "No need to get uptight. I already told you we get a lot of girls in here." He glanced at the photo again. "But, yeah, she comes in here. I think so anyway." "What about on Saturday night?" Spiller asked. "Did you see her then?" Hall nodded slowly. "I reckon so." "Why didn't you say that in the first place?" Spiller wanted to ask, but he knew the answer. In his days as a uniformed constable, he'd learned that most people didn't willingly talk to the police. The idea of becoming a witness and appearing in court filled ordinary people with dread. Only criminals didn't care one way or the other. Aloud, Spiller simply said, "Was Lindsay here on her own?" "No, she was with the usual crowd. They come in every so often." "So you have noticed Lindsay before?" "I might have done. Any particular reason?" Hall looked slightly abashed. "Well, you know, she's a looker, isn't she? I mean, she's not like most of the girls we get in here. She's posh, upper class." "And what about her friends?" Spiller asked. "What are they like?" "Well, they're just the same as everyone else. They have a few drinks and a dance. The blokes get a bit loud by the end of the night, but they don't cause any trouble." Spiller studied Hall's expression. The young man was getting twitchy, fidgeting with his hands. What was he holding back? "There was something different on Saturday night, wasn't there? Something out of the ordinary," Spiller said. "Let's not muck about, Freddie. Tell me what happened." Hall screwed up his features. "I don't really—" "Come on," Spiller interrupted. "Tell us what you know. Look, there might have been a little trouble that night. There was one bloke with his eye on that girl, and he's a bit rough, that's all." "I'm Not hearing a name, Riley said. Hall shook his head, but Spiller fixed him with a look, making it clear he was prepared to wait all day if necessary. Bloody hell, Hall mumbled. Don't tell him I said anything, okay? But it was a guy they call Mank. His real name's Dennis. Dennis Mankovich. He comes in here a lot. You said he had his eye on Lindsay, Spiller said. What made you think that? Well, he was acting a bit weird. Like I said, he's in here all the time, but he doesn't usually mix with the other punters. He has his own little group. They're family. They just sit there drinking. They're a miserable bunch, but you don't want to get on the wrong side of them. He hesitated. On Saturday, though, Mank kept staring at that girl, a fat grin on his face, like he fancied his chances. It was enough to make you laugh. I mean, she'd never be interested in a bloke like Mank. Apart from anything else, he's an ugly sod. Any idea where we might find Mr. Mankovich? Riley asked. No, I couldn't tell you. OK. Spiller sent the young man a smile. During the evening, did Lindsay seem to be with anyone special? Hall blinked as though genuinely puzzled. You mean like a boyfriend? Exactly. Yeah, she usually has her bloke in tow. Do you know his name? Spiller asked. Tony, Freddie replied, his expression sour. You don't think much of him? Spiller stated. He's okay, but he's not. Hall's lips moved as he searched for the right words. Put it like this, she's out of his league. The bloke reckons he's cool, flashing the cash around, but he's not all that. Do you know what I mean? Ideas above his station, Spiller suggested. Yeah, it's about right. One last question from me, but it's an important one, Spiller said. Did you see or hear anything that might have made you concerned for Lindsay's safety? Hall's eyes flashed in alarm. Why? What's happened to her? That remains to be seen, Riley put in. Answer the question, Mr. Hall. OK, but I didn't see anything like that. I was busy behind the bar. Even so, you looked in her direction once in a while, Riley said. A pretty girl like that, who wouldn't? I might have. Riley chuckled conspiratorially. Nobody would blame you, son. Admit it, you've taken a shine to her yourself. Hall looked down for a moment. I might have looked at her a couple of times. How did she seem? Spiller asked. Fine, most of the time. Later on, I thought she looked I don't know if you can hear that. Somebody's honking the horn outside. Wow. Don't know if that's coming out. Hope not. Go back to Spiller. How did she seem? Spiller asked. Fine, most of the time. Later on, I thought she looked a bit mopey, but she'd been on the gin and it takes people that way sometimes, doesn't it? Oh, yes, Riley replied. Any idea when she left? Before the end of the night. I didn't see her go, but she suddenly wasn't there. Her mate stayed until we kicked them out. Even her boyfriend? Riley asked. No, I think he left just after Lindsay. He was pretty far gone that night. I remember thinking she'd have her hands full. There's a funny thing, Riley said. Your memory's getting better by the minute. Hall looked shamefaced. Look, I wasn't trying to hide anything, but the boss doesn't like us to go blabbing about the customers. He says it's bad for business, and what he says goes. If he finds out I've been talking to you, I'll get the sack. You backed me into a corner, so I've tried to help, but I've told you as much as I can. Hall's voice had risen as he spoke, and Riley made a downward motion with his hands. Calm down, son. You're not going to get in any trouble. We're almost done here, but there's something else we need to talk about. Hall seemed to deflate. Go on. It's me. There was a fight on Saturday night, Riley began, and I don't know anything about it, Hall interrupted. Riley heaved an exaggerated sigh. Don't play silly buggers, lad. We've already talked to Lindsay's boyfriend, and he told us what happened. We'd like to hear your side of the story, that's all. I really didn't see anything. I didn't even know about it until it was all over. I heard the guy got punched, but it was outside and it wasn't a big deal. Gaz sorted it out. Spiller raised his eyebrows. One of your bouncers? Doorman. Gary Murphy. He's good. Nobody messes with him. We'll need to talk to him, Riley said. We need names, addresses and phone numbers for anyone working that night. Seriously? Riley smiled. Deadly. Do you have a pen and paper, or would you like us to provide them? I'm not sure if Riley didn't let him finish. You can do it here or at the station, Freddie. What's it to be? All right, I'll sort it out. But I don't know the numbers by heart. They're on a pinboard in the office. I'll have to go and write them down in there. Go on then, Riley said. Off you pop. Addresses too. Mind, real addresses. No mucking about. Hall trudged away, grumbling to himself. Shall I go and keep an eye on him? Spiller asked Riley. No, give him a minute. He'll be back. He's not as daft as he looks. Freddy's figured out which way his bread is buttered. OK, maybe I could take a look around while we wait. Relax, lad, you're like a cat on a hot tin roof. You need to pace yourself in this game. Riley paused, cocking his ear. See, he's coming back already. Sure enough, Hall reappeared, carrying a page torn from a spiral-bound pad. Handing it to Riley, he said, There, that's everyone I can think of. Thanks. Riley took the list and scanned it before handing it to Spiller. Yes, thank you for that, Spiller said as he read. As well as his own details, Freddy had added phone numbers and addresses for the bouncers, Gary Murphy and Greg Taylor, and he'd done the same for a DJ by the name of Joe Edmonds. But something wasn't right. Spiller watched Freddy from the corner of his eye. The man was nervous, the muscles around his mouth twitching, and his gaze kept flitting from Riley to Spiller. He had the air of a man who'd pulled a fast one and was waiting to see whether he'd get away with it. Spiller looked to Riley and saw that he, too, was studying Freddy. Had he come to the same conclusion? As if in answer to Spiller's unasked question, Riley tutted. Do you expect me to believe this, Freddy? Were you behind the bar on your own on a Saturday night? Hall ran his hand over his chin. Oh, I forgot the barmaid. That would have been Lucy Proctor. Do you want her number as well? Only I'll have to go back to the office and get it. Spiller opened his mouth to say yes, but Riley didn't give him the chance. Does she ever go outside while she's working? Hall shook his head. What about when she collects glasses or empties? Riley asked. Now, we don't allow glasses or bottles outside. Gaz and Greg make sure of that. Never mind them, Riley said. I doubt whether you... Oh, sorry. Strange noises here. I hope they're not coming out of the microphone. Never mind then, Riley said. I doubt whether your barmaid would have seen anything useful, and the same goes for your DJ. But we'll be talking to your bouncers. Sorry, doormen. Riley paused. We've got enough to be going on with. We'll head off unless you want to ask anything, DC Spiller. Actually, I do have a question, Spiller said. It's about this Mank character. Did he stay until closing time, or did he leave earlier? Hall shook his head. That wasn't a yes or no question, Riley pointed out. When did Mankiewicz leave? I have absolutely no idea, Hall stated, and he pressed his lips together tight. Riley and Spiller stared at Hall for a second, but there was no point in expecting anything more. The young man had clammed up. I think we're done here, don't you? Riley said. For now, Spiller replied. We'll be in touch, Mr. Hall. They made for the door, leaving the young man staring after them, his expression almost as gloomy as the bar. Back out in the sunlight, Riley nodded to Spiller. You did all right, Tim. Not bad at all. Thanks, Paddy. Spiller took a deep breath of fresh air, glad to have escaped from the cloying smell of stale beer. It was interesting what he said about Carter, wasn't it? Especially if he was right and Carter left about the same time as Lindsay. Carter claimed he'd stayed until closing time. Riley nodded. Carter was loud and making a nuisance of himself. A barman would have pegged him as a troublemaker, and he definitely would have noticed when he left. He was probably glad to see the back of him. I'm also interested in the mysterious Mr. Mankiewicz. Have you heard of him? Something tells me the name ought to ring a bell, but I've been racking my brain and I can't remember why. I have a good memory for names, and I have an inkling we've had dealings with a Mankiewicz before. I can check on the PNC when we get back to the Nick, Spiller suggested, referring to the police national computer. We'll give it a shot, but you don't want to rely on computers too much. They might not lie, but they don't give you the full picture. It's people we're dealing with, not facts and figures. So, what's the alternative? You'll see, Riley replied with a grin. When I can't put my finger on a case, I use CID's secret weapon. Spiller tried to conceal his impatience. Which is? It's like the adverts say, Tim. I know a man who can. That's the end of that chapter 11, and I'll definitely stop there because I seem to have stumbled a lot through that reading. So apologies. One thing and another. It's a warmer day again, and the microphone's falling over as people honking horn. Oh, anyway, I hope you enjoyed Hope you enjoyed it. So if you're listening to the podcast, wherever you're getting your podcasts, subscribing there is great. If you're sort of stumbling across this on YouTube and you want to know all the others, well, you can follow on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube. You will find both the videos and the audio posted there because it goes out as a YouTube podcast, and the audio podcast goes out everywhere where you can get podcasts, I believe. And a good place to find the sort of central hub of all my readings, because there should be 4, all being well, there are 4 a week, and is michaelcampling.com, which is a site hosted on Substack. And there you'll find the different sections, and you can subscribe to each section individually, because otherwise you might end up getting a load of emails. You can sort of subscribe, and then you can look at your preferences, like update your preferences or something it says, and you'll see little toggle switches for each section. And you'll see Mystery Fiction Monday, I'm reading A Study in Stone. Time Travel Fiction Tuesday, when I'm reading Trespass. My Tale of Ancient Secrets and Time Travel. Nothing on Wednesday at the moment, which is shocking, isn't it? Thriller Fiction Thursday, we're reading Lawful Duty. Has a different cover now, a nicer cover. And Science Fiction Friday, where I'm reading Dial G for Gravity, my science fiction comedy, the first one in the series. You can find my books. A good place to look is Amazon, as always, for many, many things, because they're also in Kindle Unlimited. So if you're in that, you can read the ebooks for free, and you can find the 2 Devonshire crime thrillers there. Hoping to write a third one quite soon. Got a different project on the go. Now, if you're interested, while I'm just yakking, I'm not sure about Mamba. That might have been one. So there did used to be some nightclubs down on the quayside. They are not there now. There is a cafe, which is also an antique centre, and that is there. It's a bit more touristy now. There's lots of little craft shops and cafes, but I'm using archive stuff, and I'm using a bit of imagination as to what it might be in the 90s. And yet, because this is in 92, you get certain attitudes and references, and the very dodgy coffee, and the not really taking to a cappuccino different times. I don't think people knew about lattes and things in 92. I certainly didn't know about frappuccinos and all that kind of stuff. Not around here anyway, as far as I can recall, quite a while ago now. So, yeah. So some of the locations are, well, all the ones are in the Devonshire crime thrillers are either real or they're in fictionalized versions of real places. So sometimes I invent something, like the Icebox nightclub, for instance. That did not exist. I came up with that name. As far as I could tell, there never has been an Icebox nightclub in Exeter, but there were some nightclubs down there. So, inspired by real things. I can't seem to speak properly today. Who knows why? One of those days. Thank you so much for listening. I'll sign off because that's enough from me. Look after yourselves. Happy reading. Take care. And if you can, share this. That would be wonderful. Thank you very much for any comments, likes. YouTube is a good place to comment, and the Substack site, which is michaelcampling.com. Another good place to comment. Hit microphone. I'll go off before I have a disaster and knock the whole thing flying. Bye for now. Take care.